people? What's going on with you? How you doing? Are you okay? Hope you are. Man, a lot of folks calling me after the show yesterday and giving me insight on why we shouldn't have the National Guard here and why we wouldn't want to have him here and yitty yitty yitty. And that seemed to be the topic of conversation in the news on yesterday as I watched a lot of other uh, newscasts try to tackle that issue. So I'm glad that we are paying attention. I am so glad that we are paying attention. My number 504-582-9422. That's 504-582-9422. Got a lot of stuff in the news that I want to talk about. I got a lot of national stuff. I got some stuff here locally that I know that I need to bring up. And maybe I'm looking at this a little bit different. Maybe I'm looking at these news stories a little bit different than the average person, but these are news stories that I think that we should be talking about. One is not national, it's a local story, and it bothers me that we have stories that fulfill our interest, if that's a good word to use, about how certain things were going when there's a problem with folks, when we see issues that are bothering people. And then when we see these issues that may be bothering people, they come up with a conclusion or something has happened. And when there's a conclusion or when it has happened, it goes away. And you don't hear it anymore. What do you mean, Gerod? You don't hear about the story like you were hearing every day. What does that mean? As long as the story is relevant in the news, the minute that there's a change in that news, there's a conclusion that happens that makes everybody go, oh, next. Let's go to next. And when it does go to next, we don't ask any other questions. Y'all know what I'm talking about, huh? I bet you can imagine what I'm talking about just by hearing me say when there is an emergency in the community. We are so quick to talk about it. We have everybody and their mama doing news reports. We've got all the different folks in the country that are talking about it. We have all the agencies that have, and I'm not talking bad about any of the agencies. We have all the agencies that have lent their help, their expertise. And then all of a sudden, when the conclusion of certain parts of this has come forth, we end up probably castigating and then leaving the story. Now, this might be an overreach, and if it is, that's just me. I might be overreaching, but I would expect you all to at least look at what I'm saying. Because certain people have looked at it in that peculiar instance where when you look at it or somebody reminds you of it, you end up saying, Yeah, that might be right. But it was just a week and a half ago. All of New Orleans was having an issue with this 12-year-old boy that was missing. We were looking high and low. We were looking in people's windows, people's backyards, in the bayous, and even in the water that's somewhere around the home of the boy. And then the ultimate tragedy. And that was they found him dead. The part of this that disturbs me the most is the fact that we're not hearing anything else that's coming out of this story other than we are now looking at the people who had his interests and was supposed to be taking care of him. We have done background checks to find out how they treated him. And I look at this issue and I say to myself, self, how do we handle that? How do we handle that? Is this right? Because all of a sudden we then had all the folks, and listen, I hope that nobody thinks that I am putting something on them because I'm not. Are they right or are they wrong for doing background checks on them? And I was just thinking to myself, we didn't know this information beforehand. We didn't know that there was a problem in the home before we had somebody on the family side calling out the way that this was being handled by NOPD. Even though the characteristics of somebody doing something wrong could have come out after they checked and double checked, I'll say that. It just didn't appear that way. Did it appear that way to you all? Or did it look like retaliation because you on the air saying how bad the situation was because nobody was checking on your son or the mother's son before y'all went on the air to talk bad about him? Well, I hope that you understand that there is politics in everything. And the politics that you're involved in right now is the fact that there are consequences in truth. And there is. There's consequences in truth. So I hope that this family understands that no matter how you feel, we are praying for you because you lost your child. Nobody wants to hear that. No matter who they are. Nobody wants to hear that you lost a child. And it doesn't matter to me if it's a regular hearted child or a special needs child. A child is a child. Nobody wants to hear that. So are you ready for the rest of the consequences, or do you want to hear about the truth? So y'all trying to tell me that at no point in time during the history of this neighborhood, no point in time during the history of this neighborhood did we know or not know that there were some alligators out there? And we didn't call out wildlife and fisheries for just getting there to remove these dangerous animals because we knew that they were dangerous. And if I open up my door in the middle of the night, there's a possibility that there's a alligator that has gotten out of those ponds, moved around in somebody's neighborhood, and we didn't say nothing. Huh. But all we got a chance to see on the news was the trucks going in to remove or to subdue these alligators. Now, that's a big part of that sentence. So at no point in time did we realize that there were alligators in this pond, bayou, or whatever, to start getting folks in place to remove those alligators until a little boy that was harmless, had no idea what he was walking into, allegedly got ate up by an alligator. We didn't know. I could have sworn I saw a man on the news standing right by the pond and was stating that this has been going on. We've always had this problem with alligators. There's consequences to your actions, and then let me add this to it. There's consequences to your inactions. More coming up, y'all. Everybody hold tight.
Missed a show? Want to hear that guest everyone's talking about? WBOK is now streaming on all your favorite podcast apps. Just search WBOK Media, hit download, share with a friend, and don't forget to rate your favorite shows 5 stars. Because when our voices are heard, our impact grows.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
Let's face the hard facts, New Orleans. Our city's population keeps dropping. Our residents are unhappy with basic services. Our neighborhoods are suffering. And too few of our young people can find a future in their hometown. This is why the City Services Coalition came together. A diverse, nonpartisan group of local citizens, the Coalition's 216-page action plan is full of fresh, innovative ideas to improve public safety, streets, drainage, sanitation, and permitting. It's based on the simple premise: if we can't do the basics right, how can we do anything else? The time for excuses is over. When you elect a new mayor, no matter who you vote for, make sure that person is ready to work for change and to make New Orleans what it should be, the great city we know it can be. The next step is yours. For more information, go to cityservicescoalition.com.
Paid for by the City Services Coalition.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 12:30 a.m. on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Got a chance to talk to my good friend by text, Vera Warren, who is the owner and community bookstore right there on Bayou Road. No shame plug. Make sure y'all go over there and get it. And I love what they've done with the place. Oh my goodness. You get a chance, go by and see for yourself, so I don't have to sit up here and just stutter all the way through the thing to make sure that you go by and see and keep community bookstore open, and make sure that you check out Miss Vera Warren and all the folks that she has there to help you out finding your greatest African-American music, African-American books, African-American papers. If you need to do some African-American type of research, you definitely can start there, I can tell you. So make sure you go by and see Vera Warren over at Community Bookstore. But I was talking to her by text, and she let me know that I had missed something, which I did. And our good friend, longtime supporter, longtime commenter, longtime friend, one of the best photographers that you'll ever get a chance to meet. And he was one of those that would always show you his collectibles, things that he had taken pictures of in his lifetime, from California all the way to here. And he had a phenomenal collection of photographs. Sekou, who would be a commenter on my show as well as many others, Sekou passed. He died on yesterday. I knew that he was somewhat sick, but I never thought that I'd be saying this on the air, that Sekou has left us. As much as we hate to talk about it, I got to make sure that we give him his just due. Not only when he was alive, but to talk about him now, because he was such a phenomenal person. And sometimes I really do believe that Sekou didn't get his just due. I don't know if that sounds right. But Sekou, I think, was a part of our history in New Orleans, from one end of the coast to the other. And he was always a person that would share those stories with you from the 70s, 80s, 90s. And I always, when we had the radio station over off of Gentilly Boulevard here in New Orleans, I could always, at some point in the time in the day, see Sekou riding his bike, because that's what his mode of transportation was. He had that big flag on the back. He have his camera with him. If it wasn't in his backpack, it was around his neck. And Sekou would always stop by the radio station to share some story with you. So he hasn't been over here, and I think that, we lose time and we lose track of time when we're talking about somebody's age. and we noticed that he wasn't moving around as much as he was, but you still thought he was. And then you could hear it in his voice when he was calling into the radio station. He sounded a little weak. Well, I never asked Sekou what his illnesses were because they were not my business. But I know that as long as he could pick up the telephone and tell me that he was okay, or he was getting stronger, or that's what he would say. I would say, Sekou, you all right? And Sekou would always say, yeah, I'm getting a little bit better. I'm getting stronger. But when somebody tells you that they're doing a little bit better or they got to get stronger or they're getting stronger, you're concerned because of the fact that that's the first thing you tell me. I'm getting better. I'm getting stronger. But I never asked him, and I don't know if y'all knew that. I never asked him what his ailments were because one thing, he would share that if he wanted to. But as long as he was telling me that he was okay and had all of his wits enough to talk about the topic of hand, what we were talking about or what he wanted to share with us, that was the most to me. That's what mattered the most. So I do want to take this moment to say to my friend, to your friend as well, Sekou, man, you did the daggone thing. Well done, soldier. Well done. And God be with you. And to his family, God be with you all too. If we get the information on how or when the burial will be, if he has a service, we definitely want to put it out there. And I hope that all of WBOK shows up. That's one of our soldiers, y'all. That's one of our soldiers. So to his family, his radio family, all of his folks here in New Orleans and those in California, we just want to say job well done to Sekou. All right. So the other incident that I wanted to bring up was something I thought that everybody should be paying attention to. Well, we talked yesterday about the military coming to New Orleans, what you thought about it, how you felt about the National Guard. Some of you was looking at me like I had made the decision, which I did not. And nothing to do with the decision. Well, you sound like you for it. What's interesting to me, and I had to bring this part up because I want you all to really take these issues that I talk about serious enough to understand why I talk about them. I said, will you send the National Guard to New Orleans? Is it going to be that bad? Because we're used to the National Guard on our streets in New Orleans. Boy, y'all had a hissy fit. I've been called names. I was like, y'all out y'all damn mind. I said, wait a minute, hold up. When was the National Guard here last? Oh, we heard Katrina. We heard about some other hurricane. Y'all forget the National Guard was just here for Super Bowl. Y'all forgot that? They were doing the same thing, standing on the streets, patrolling the streets. They were just here. So my question was asking you, are they going to take on a law, pushing the law type of instance? Boy, we came up with a whole bunch of stuff. I ain't saying you're wrong because I don't know. I don't know. I'm not making the decision, and I don't know. But if they're going to patrol and do, hands-on, no, we got a problem. But as far as showing support for our law enforcement, which would be NOPD, the state police as well, and they're doing just as much as they are, then we got a problem. We have a problem. So I leave that in your hands for you all to make that decision. But what's making me a little bit antsy about the whole issue, I see Chicago saying hands off. I see the black mayor of Chicago saying, let me sign an order to make sure that we're not accepting this help from the federal government. I see the folks up in Minneapolis that are saying, hell no, we don't want that here. No, not at all. I see and hear Gavin in California making his presence known as leaders, right? We're talking about the mayor of Chicago, the governor of California. We're talking about the governor of Minneapolis. I hear them speaking up. But our governor is asking for the help in the black communities. Yeah, I said in the black communities. They're saying New Orleans. They ain't say what part of New Orleans. They're saying Shreveport. They ain't talking about what part of Shreveport, where we're going to see these troops. But what part are they going to put these folks? That should be discussed. And then when you start looking at the statistics of violence, murders in other parts of cities around the world, there are at least, I think they said 22 states that have worse violence than the state of Louisiana. 22. The question is, why does that appear to say, oh my God, we need to get rid of all of that violence in New Orleans? But they're not saying it in those 22 states. Politics. They're not putting troops in a Republican-controlled city. They're not putting troops in areas of states like Louisiana that have just as much crime than anything. We're not going to put those troops in these townships that have Republican controls. We're going after the Democratic controls. And I'm thinking to myself, does anybody else see what's going on here? I'm pinpointing what I want. But the governors, just as long as the mayors, the governors, not asking for it, then what are you doing? Interesting. What you say, T-Bone?
Good evening, y'all. Before I start on my 2 bits, let me just say, my condolences to hear that to Brother Siku's family and his loved ones. I've heard him a number of times on this program and others talking the righteous talk and walking the righteous walk. And quite frankly, I'm going to miss brothers like him that actually was involved in various movements to get us where we are, where we need to be. And those are the people that are going to get left behind with this whitewashing of our history, of our heritage, of our legacy, and our struggle. So if there was ever a reason for you to have trouble with history getting erased, situations like losing Brother Siku is a definite reason to have a problem with it. Because if we don't teach our children, how they going to know? Okay? I want to backtrack just a little bit, if you don't mind, brother, because as a parent of some autistic young people, I want to say my heart goes out to that family that lost that little boy. But there was another story that got lost in the mix because you see, around the same time that that boy went missing, there was a 30-some-odd-year-old dealing with autism that had took a walk, said he was going to church, did not come back. And the unspoken truth there is folks care more about kids that's dealing with a disability than they do adults. So I would really like to know what happened to that man, because he was in his 30s, and they never found out, or they never said anything on any broadcast
And
about that.
that pains me to know that these stories happen. We hear about them, and then there's no follow-up.
Yeah, yeah. And we still don't know what's going on with that family. We don't know who was charged in that. We don't know what the circumstances were, all the circumstances. All we know is we saw that little boy on a security camera on the street, walking around barefooted.
But it looked like they were trying to make it look like that the family or his mother had something to do with his disappearance.
Let me tell you something. The details of that story are as follows. They had locked up for the night. They had locked the door. The little boy slipped out of a window. Okay? Now, you could judge and say, well, why they don't have bars on the windows? Maybe this family doesn't have money to get bars on their windows. Maybe they thought by locking the window with a regular latch, he was going to be okay. Well, why didn't nobody hear him? It was 5 o'clock in the morning. People were asleep. But he knocked on the door and this, that, and the third. If you're not a parent that's dealing with autism, you have no idea just how exhausting it is. And I can speak on it because I'm experiencing it. They have meltdowns. They have situations where they're laughing uncontrollably. They're crying uncontrollably. They don't sleep. And when they don't sleep, you don't sleep because you're concerned about them doing stuff like this. So don't judge those people unless you say you've walked in their shoes. Now, on to the story at hand that you're dealing with right now. The thing about it is this. Some black folks, I'm calling you out again. Get mad with me if you want, but say something. I dare you to call this program and say something. Those of you that voted for Trump actually want this because you think sending the military into a city is going to make things change. Let me tell you something. Those dudes that's doing the dirty out there, they know how to lay low. But them troops are not coming after the actual drug dealers. This is lip service. This is PR. This is Trump trying to show I am in charge, large and in charge. I have the iron hand, and I will use it. That's all this is. He's not cleaning up your streets. He's not going to get that drug dealer smoking yayo up the block. He's not going to stop that fentanyl from crossing around the corner. He's not going to stop them hookers that's up the block that's getting high. That's not what these troops are going to do. This is punishment. This is him doing what they call scorched earth mess for people that were trying to get him put in jail, saying he should stay in jail and not come back. This is punishment to the cities that did not vote for him. This is punishment to the people that say, we don't want your government controlling us. He says, oh, really? I control everything. I control the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. Because every move I make, they stand back and then watch. That's what this is. And those of you that are fooled by thinking when he comes to New Orleans, he's going to stop the wild, wild east. and stop them fools hanging off the corner with the pants hanging so you could see their drawers with a 9mm or a Tech 9, you are fools. I'm calling you what you is, because that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't happen in San Francisco. He went after Latinos to deport them in San Francisco. He ain't go to where the Crips and the Bloods hang. Oh, no. Imagine if they sent the National Guard into Compton, down Crenshaw. That'd still be on the nose. They ain't sending troops like that on the south side of Chicago to get all them people that's involved with those drive-bys. And they're not sending them into areas where you're getting shootings down here.
Nah. Same thing.
Who's fooling
same
who?
thing in California. I mean, we were asking the reason why you got those troops and the 700 Marines
Punishment.
downtown L.A.
Punishment. It's punishment, dog. He don't like Gavin Newsom. He don't like California. You know when he should have sent people in? When they had the wildfires. Because these people have the wildfires every single year. He tells them, you know what he told them one time? He said, why don't you just let us cut the trees down and you won't have the wildfires? That's his response to them constantly having wildfires every year.
Well, he said something different too. He said that he wanted to put together a plan where they took up or raked up all of the leaves. Yeah. So
he wants to deforest California.
Right.
He wants to deforest it. And that's not about the environment.
But a
that's
lot of
about
folks don't
help.
realize the awesome. I'm gonna say awesome because I mean, unless you've been in California when they're getting ready to have a lightning storm. I mean, if you've ever seen those lightning storms, these ain't lightning storms that we have here. It gets hot and humid here, and we have flashes of lightning. In California, they have lightning strikes that set stuff on fire.
You know why? A lot of people don't realize this, but lightning doesn't come from clouds. It comes from the ground, and it goes through trees.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they tell you, if you see lightning strike, one of two things. Don't stand in a puddle in an open field, and don't stand next to a tree.
Yep, or underneath.
Because those electrons come straight through the ground, up into the atmosphere, through the easiest point that can come out. So if you stand in the middle of an open field, it's going through you. If you're standing next to a tree, it could bounce off that tree and go through you. Mm-hmm. That's why that happens.
But they don't have these lightning strike storms anywhere else in America other than like they have on the West Coast.
Yeah. So, and the other part is those regions are above sea level, so they're even closer to the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't understand. I'm gonna miss brothers like Siku because he brought some wisdom to the discussion. But these folks here, they're still saying they did the right thing voting for Trump. Whatever shade you are, I don't see how you justify it with true logic. I just don't.
Well, you see, I see how they justify it. Look what you got. We tried to tell you, and you ain't listening. That's how they justify it. Now they want to say it ain't our fault. Yeah, it is. So, but look, let me take my break. I got to get into my break here.
All right, brother. Get you a hot toddy because I still hear that cold up in you.
Yeah, it's still in me, but it's coming through.
Some brown and some tea, dog. I'm just saying. Some brown, some tea.
Yes, indeed.
You'll sleep and you'll be straight in the morning.
I bet.
Great.
I bet. All right, T-Bone.
All right, G.
I'll talk to you later.
All right.
All right, y'all. We got more coming up in just a minute here. We got to take a break.
On Auto Trends with JeffCars.com, here's a snippet of some of what we cover. GPS pioneer Gladys West.
We worked long hours computing trajectory orbits and satellite orbits, trying to get the data and everything correct enough.
Auto analyst Mark Bland.
14 new vehicle deals that happen in this country out of every 100 that women don't have a fingerprint on.
To tune in, check out Auto Trends with JeffCars.com. Saturdays at 4 p.m. on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Saints of God, it's time for us to tell you the truth. It's time for you to start your 21-day challenge. Don't take another day. Do it right now. Call 504-701-4711. That's the whole water stove, Pastor David Impartian Sr., the host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. This is the water that's designed to change your body, the way you think, the way you act, and the way you look. Why don't you start your 21-day challenge today? For $35, you can start it right now. Call me so we can set up your appointment. 504-701-4711. That's 504-701-4711. Change your water, change your mind.
WBOK.
Better pay attention.
Powered by Cox Business. Hot. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. I am getting a lot of text messages. They were like, what happened to Sekou? What happened? He passed. Sekou had been... I saw somebody write this online too. And Wick, I think you were with me then too. I think you will remember this. When Sekou called into the radio station, he was always strong. He was always strong. Then his wife died. You remember when his wife died? And I don't think Sekou ever got over that. Well, of course, saying that, getting over it is not what I need to be saying. I can say that he never... I think the hurt of him losing his wife was something that he couldn't rebound from. He tried to, and I may be wrong, but he always called in to talk about, the issues. But before he would hang up the phone, he would talk about his wife. So hopefully there is maybe some type of favor for him now, knowing that his wife passed and they could be reunited in the afterlife. Is that wrong for me to say? I do hope that he is in a better place because I know he had been sick for a while. He had been sick. So knowing that he is no longer in pain should make everyone feel better. So we will find out, hopefully, whenever his homegoing celebration will be in the next day or two. So my heart goes out to those affected by the mortal loss of Sekou, my friend. All right. I had to bring this up too. As you can tell, I did a lot of writing. I did a lot of reading of different stories. And some of these stories, I want to get your experience with these stories. I saw the article and I went back to go look at the television interview that talked about our friends and education in the Lower Ninth Ward as they are now rallying to have open the school that was closed, which was Martin Luther King. as a taxpayer, and as you're a taxpayer, to build that school, they had to take $38 million of taxpayers' money to build Martin Luther King High School in the Lower Ninth Ward. I'll never forget when the incident of those young folks who were trying to get this city back open and doing the work, and won't scared to get dirty doing the work, that they went into Martin Luther King High School, cleaned it up, cleaned it out, and dared the people there to arrest them because they went into the school unauthorized. But these are your parents that wanted to open up Martin Luther King High School. Well, since that time, one Martin Luther King still open, but the other is the newer high school, where your tax dollars went into paying for a $38 million facade. And the school board decided this year to shut it down. What? Yeah. They moved the kids out of that school and sent them everywhere else. So they shut down the school. Now, I'm not going to just sit back and not say it. Well, what the hell y'all thinking? Y'all spent less than 20 years rebuilding a new high school, which is a nice facility. I don't know if you've been over there to see it, but it's a nice facility. As a matter of fact, I think the last time I was over there, we were doing the Fatherhood Roundtable. How do we go from building these nice schools, spending taxpayers' money of $38 million, and just out of the blue, y'all just say, you know what? School ain't doing what it's supposed to do. Wait. Hold up. Is it that the school itself is not doing what it do, or you got the wrong folks in there running it, making the decisions about keeping it open? Or closing it? And then tell us who the folks are that make that decision. Did you sit down and have a conversation with the community about closing that school? And what does it mean to the people that work there or worked there? What does that mean? You no longer have a job? What did the school itself support? Any outside businesses that are now going to have to close because you no longer have any people? What are we doing? The Lower Ninth Ward has already been struggling because of the numbers that were there prior to Hurricane Katrina. And then you lost half of those in that population when we came back, because half the people didn't come back. Then the other folks started moving in, the gentrifiers. So now you go into, I'm sorry, am I offending you? If I am, tough. Let me be the first to say, I was one of those guys that had to work in the Lower Ninth Ward for the cleanup after the storm. Yeah, we had to walk around in 96 degrees with our Tyvek suits on, our steel-toe boots, our white construction hats with the protective glassware and rubber gloves, because we had to clean it up. It was us from here. It was folks from other countries. They had to clean it up. But now that we've gotten all of this passed, and we've got such a great facility, y'all trying to tell me you want to shut down a $38 million facility because Because that's the question. It was a question. I just did it funny. Come out and tell me. You want to shut it down for what reason? Because you don't have enough kids. Y'all want to shut it down because it's what? Not enough kids. It's not financially stable. Okay. And what makes it financially stable? It's something funny in all the politics that comes up in all of this crap. And we are letting folks that have somebody's agenda. It ain't their agenda. It becomes their agenda because they stick their head on the chopping block to let it be chopped off. You are sacrificing yourself for these issues. And what's getting on my nerves is the fact that black folk that are more Ninth Ward than anybody else, y'all letting it happen. We spent, that's me, you, and a dog named Boo. We spent $38 million on Martin Luther King High School. Maybe if y'all were talking about $38, I'd be like, well, you know, we can get a refund. But $38 million, and it's just sitting there? It's a new school. Y'all letting it sit there, and next thing you know, guess what's going to happen? Let it keep sitting there, empty. Guess what's going to happen? We're going to have a brand new school. They got graffiti all over it, trash. They ain't going to cut the grass like they're supposed to because we have abandoned it. That don't make no sense to me. But I got to say this, and we'll come back with this afterwards. Tell you, you're going to let that school sit there. And then next thing you're going to hear is, oh, yeah, by the way, we gave somebody a new charter. And it's going to be called Boogity Boogity Boo School. Boogity 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 Boo School is going to offer you and fund every year so-and-so's new charter school. Just watch. Just watch. We'll take this break. We'll come back. More next.
From the campus of Xavier University, WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. A former Newark, New Jersey police officer is suing Black Mayor Ross Baraka and others, alleging years of sexual harassment and retaliation after testing positive for prescribed painkillers. Laura Ciesla says she was forced out despite following medical protocols. Today marks Beyonce's birthday. The former Destiny's Child star has sold over 118 million records worldwide and made history as the first artist to debut her first 6 solo albums at #1. With 28 Grammys and more than 100 major awards, plus film roles in Dreamgirls and The Lion King, she remains one of the most celebrated artists of all time. And the Missouri NAACP and 2 residents are suing to stop a special legislative session on redrawing the state's congressional map. They argue Governor Mike Kehoe's call is unconstitutional and that no new redistricting is needed until after the 2030 census. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. My number 504-582-9422. That's 504-582-9422. These are the topics of conversation that I knew that we needed to have on today. So that's another one. So do you have any more, Gerard? I am so glad that you asked me because we do. What else do you have? I'll never forget the PR campaign that was put forth for Brad Pitt. You remember that? You remember that, Wick? There was a PR campaign that was put together for Brad Pitt, the $20 million man. That's what he gets every time he does a movie. He's one of the A-listers. He gets $20 million per project. And as he got the call from people here, they brought him here and put together his own foundation. Y'all remember that? That foundation, which he was responsible for, was called the Make It Right campaign. Y'all remember that? What you talking about? All these people in the lower ninth ward that lost their house, homes came off of their foundations, all the destruction that happened to roofs. He put together a crew of folks that walked around in the lower ninth ward, that went to those people that owned those houses that got destroyed, came off of their foundation, had roofing problems. And he said, you know what? Let me talk to y'all about rebuilding your house. All you have to do is sell me your property, and we'll tear yours down and rebuild you another one and sell it to you at a fraction of the cost, because we've got the supplemental help. We've got movie star after movie star that is giving us money to put into a folder, a bank account, an escrow, that we give you these very nice homes, and they are architecturally sound, and they will sell it to you at a marked up price, but a load down price, because we're going to have that money that comes from these movie stars that will take the price of your house down. Well, if I'm living in the lower ninth ward, I'm thinking, hell, that's Brad Pitt. Damn right I'm going to do it. And Brad Pitt is like, yeah, ha, 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 ha. Let's take a photo. So we got all these different architectures, all these different folks that had, they had their mind made up that they were going to be a part of it too. So all the architects came out with all of their different designs. Then you had the companies that were supplying all the goods. Then you had Global Green, and you had all this to tell you, hey, these are going to be solar powered. This is what we're going to do for the wood. We're going to bring in wood that has glass in it, and we're going to make this a part of the home. And I'm like, man, this is too good to be true.
Don't forget the house, the one that was supposed to float.
Huh?
The house that was supposed to float had the buoys under it. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
There's a house that was supposed to float.
I don't even remember that part.
Yeah, but I remember that quite well.
Well, all these different ideas, they made a part of their campaign. So all these other folks were like, you know what? We're going to sell you our house. They sold the house. They sold the property. Brad Pitt and them bought it up, and then they sold it back to them for a fraction of the price to rebuild their homes. 15 years later, I've got all these folks in the lower ninth ward complaining that their houses are falling apart and that Brad Pitt, Global Green, and another one was supposed to make it right. And they didn't.
Allow me to sing it. Scam. Oh, scam.
No, that's okay. I appreciate you, though, bro. Woo, woo. So, by the end of the project being close to being completed, we were finding out that a lot of the materials were not up to code or par to the conditions of New Orleans.
People couldn't even walk up their steps.
They didn't even understand that why the wood was separating, and it was found that a lot of glass was in that wood for putting it together. We were wondering why the humidity had such a big impact on a lot of the, I guess, the outside fixtures of the home. So next we had several people to call the radio station that owned these homes and were pissed. They wanted to know, what did we get ourselves into?
Scam. Oh, scam.
I don't even
Brad
know.
Pitt scammed at me.
I don't even know why we even put up with you sometimes. I'm like, yeah, you just come up with craziness. That's it.
You know, I'm a DJ, bro.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking around and saying to myself, well, who do we call? And did they get the houses inspected? And I was talking to this one lady, and she said, let me tell you what happened to me on today. I said, what happened? She said, I was getting to make sure that it wasn't the products, but it was the buildings. I'm like, was it? She said, it was both. I said, was it the architect's fault too? She said, I don't know. And then she said, I want you to come down here to the lower ninth ward. I don't even remember. I don't know if everybody remember all this stuff. I guess I have some timers, not Alzheimer's, but
I remember every bit of it.
And we did a live broadcast at the recreation center down there, right beside the Martin Luther King.
Right there on Caffin, right?
Yeah, right there on Caffin. And these women showed up, black and white, and they wanted to talk. And they were telling us about, the faulty, the sinks, the plumbing. They were talking about all the different issues with the resources that were given to them to build their foundations up, and how the wood was going to decay, and that there were several homes at that point in time that had already been bulldozed. I don't know if you remember that part.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, these houses at that point in time weren't even 15 years old. So those ladies ended up telling us about the attorney that was trying to put together the class action lawsuit. I was like, okay, call him and tell him to come down here and meet us. We'd love to talk about this thing. Ron Austin, attorney Ron Austin, who was on this radio station, was at the live remote, and had filed a class action lawsuit against Brad Pitt, the Make It Right Foundation, and Global Green. That was the other person's organization that they had involved. So now that I've given you the gist of the story, we went back into the story to make sure that these folks, because they were going to file, I'm talking about Global Green, they at that point in time, along with the Brad Pitt Foundation, which was the Make It Right Foundation, were trying to get out of being responsible for the damages and for the rebuilding of these folks' homes. Even though I sold you my house and I sold you my land. So you bought mine at a fraction of the price that it's worth, so that you could get a discount on the new property that you were getting ready to inherit, but you were going to also have to pay a mortgage. The majority of these people that had their houses, they were older. So guess what? Their mortgage was paid for. So now you got a mortgage. You got a piece of property where you have a home that was built that's falling apart. You're having to do maintenance on a house that's less than 20 years old already. Well, I'm sorry, at that point, that's 15. And you were getting no answers from the folks that you thought were responsible for the houses.
And let me guess, they didn't own the land anymore.
No. They sold it. They sold it when they bought the house and the land.
I would have told him, man, get the heck on.
But they didn't own it.
No, I'm talking about if he would come to me and say, I want to buy your house and your land. Nah, I'll let you buy the house, but I'm not selling you the land.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Because that was the deal. Because the houses were so expensive. So if I sell you the house that's on the land and I own it, then if I sell you everything, I'm going to sell it back to you in the first place. So I'm going to sell you your house, even though I might not get full value of your house to what I'm getting ready to build you. Remember, I went to all these superstars and borrowed money from them. The house was with one price. Let's say the house was a $400,000 house, but your house is only worth $180,000, $200,000. So the supplement of that was, my house is $200,000. This one that I sold you is $400,000. I borrowed enough money from all these superstars because they borrow millions. I would take another $200,000 out of that kitty money that I got from those folks, those superstars, and pay off your house. So now you are supposedly owning a piece of land and property that is worth $400,000 that you only had to pay $200,000 for. Well, after they went back and tried to figure out how much is this piece of crap that you sold me really worth, it wasn't even worth the amount of money that they estimated that those homes were going to be. I would be mad as I'll get up.
You know what I got to say? Scam. Oh, scam. Brad Pitt scammed at me.
So.
That's the word of the day. Scam.
Okay. You sure it's not spam?
No, scam.
Okay.
Don't like spam.
So, with all that being said, including the scam, there are folks that looked into what happened with those houses and what the Brad Pitt Foundation was supposed to be doing. And he came on and said, you know what? Global Green is going to take on the responsibility of this and yada, 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 yada. So they were thinking that Global Green was going to take on the responsibility of making sure that those houses were paid and that they were fixing those homes. They did not. So the lawsuit still remains. But there's a story that talks about these Brad Pitt homes, and I'm just trying to figure out how nobody has done anything about it for 20 years. The story says, as we commemorate 20 years since Katrina, Lower Ninth Ward resident, they're talking about resident Robert Green, has spoken about his lengthy fight for repairs to the home he received from Brad Pitt's Make It Right Foundation. The foundation was established by the Hollywood star in 2007, following Hurricane Katrina to help rebuild the New Orleans Lower Ninth Ward. Its mission: deliver affordable, sustainable, and eco-friendly homes for people who had lost everything in a devastating storm. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, again, this is a story that goes back to 2007. Well, after they figured out that Brad Pitt was not, and the Make It Right Foundation was not doing the right thing, he tossed this to Global Green. And Global Green said, we'll do it. We'll go back and refix everybody's home. You know, we were wrong to so and so. And he said, okay, and walked out. See ya. We want to be ya. Well, there's more. Since that time, I'm glad I get a chance to explain the story. Since that time, they were still waiting for Global Green to fix their homes in the Lower Ninth Ward. They did not. All the gook, junk, sediment, all of their equipment, everything, still there. They didn't do what they were supposed to do either. So my question to the folks over there is, what you gonna really do about this? And stop giving people your assets thinking they're gonna do the right thing, because they didn't.
I would have never sold to them.
Well, my point is, they didn't have anything else. Their properties were already demolished. They sold them the adjusted price of that property, plus they had money from stars that gave them money to fix those properties. And you would think that you got somebody that is an honorable person.
Trust no one.
Doesn't matter. Because they were like, here you go. Where I sign? Nope. So I was talking to some other folks, and it looks like Attorney Ron Austin, who was putting together the class action lawsuit, was notified that Global Green was going to take care of the charges. Global Green did not. So my question is, well, what about these people in the Lower Ninth Ward? It's 20 years later. What y'all gonna do? All right, we got more coming up, y'all. Everybody, hold tight. We'll take some of your telephone calls at 504-582-9422. More next.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by Lowe's.com. Former NBA All-Star Richard Jefferson was a victim of fraud. A person he hired as an assistant stole almost $5 million from him over the course of several years.
When 2008 and that financial crisis hit and everyone started checking their books to make sure everything was good, it was like, wait a second, something's not right.
While the incident could have left Jefferson bitter, in a conversation on Bloomberg, he talked about why he viewed it as a learning experience.
If you would have told me the day I got drafted that I would own my home, my mom and dad would own their home, and neither of us would have to work again, I would sign up. That's the goal, is to change your life. My life was changed, right? That's how I kept myself not being like, woe is me. And honestly, sometimes it's about your L's.
Jefferson isn't ashamed to talk about it either. He wants his experience to serve as a cautionary tale for young athletes. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Lowe's knows you've got a job to do, and we help get it done.
With the Milo's Pro Rewards program, eligible members save more with volume discounts on qualifying orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Offer can't be combined with any other discount, contract, and/or special pricing. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Attention, WBOK listeners. Are you a fan of the station and want to show your support and style? Well, we've got some exciting news for you. Introducing the official WBOK merchandise, the perfect way to wear your love for the station. Whether you're a longtime listener or a new fan, we've got something for everyone. Head to WBOK1230.com now and grab your WBOK gear before it's gone. When you buy WBOK merch, you're not just getting quality items, you're supporting the station you love.
Tired of the impersonal one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Hi, this is Cary Grant. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events and sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join us every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Cary Show.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Don't forget, coming up at 6 tonight, it's going to be Arnie and Cary. Make sure that you check them out. They'll be on from 6 until 7. Also, an added feature for you tonight. They're going to add to the programming tonight for about 7:20 tonight. If you're looking for some football, we will be airing the pro NFL football. Who's that? Philadelphia? Yeah, Philadelphia is playing tonight. You'll be able to hear the game about 7:20, starting about 7:20. That'll be right here on WBOK. And here's something else good for you. Just in case you didn't know, I don't know why you wouldn't know. Is the fact that we are broadcasting live every day on 107.1 FM. So you'll be able to hear, and you can hear all day, our FM, WBOK FM at 107.1 FM. Do yourself a favor, check it out, see what you see. All right. Getting back to this original story, which is, I'm not making these stories up. This is really a real story. The young man that we're talking about that lives in the Lower Ninth Ward and says, I've been living with this nightmare from the Brad Pitt Make It Right Foundation. The foundation itself was established by the Hollywood star in 2007 following Hurricane Katrina. Its mission, deliver affordable, sustainable, and eco-friendly homes. But they're saying that they lost everything in a devastating storm and haven't been able to replace it. Robert, who continues to reside in the property. Let me start that over just in case you understand. He resides in the property. He said the gift of the house rapidly became years of aggravation as alleged substandard construction left many residents unsafe and an economic disaster because they kept calling it the unsafe and decaying home. He told us, I'm still in my Brad Pitt house. I intend to die on Tennessee Street. And nothing will take me away from my home. Why am I having a problem with this? Because I'm one of the only ones that continues to talk about this thing with our people. Where's everybody coming down on somebody that gets $20 million every time he gets on a camera? This man says, I am living with the lawsuits against Brad Pitt and the Make It Right Foundation. And I also often tell the lawyers, I don't want rhetoric, but a check to make the necessary repairs to my house. And is one of those ones that in need of extensive repairs. Robert relocated into one of the experimental Make It Right Foundation homes in 2009. At that time, Brad and his wife, Angelina Jolie, would frequently visit to demonstrate support for a city that adored and once owned a home in it. However, as time passed, numerous homes experienced problems with defective materials, leaks, and seemingly poor construction. Outside Robert's property, a sign now displays "Fix My House." Y'all, I'm looking at the portrait. It's pretty bad. I don't know what else to say about this, except that my thoughts and prayers are with these folks. I thought being homeless was a bad issue, but it said inside where Robert's brother, Jonathan Green, their mother, Joyce Hilda Green, 74 years old, cousin Hyman Shepard, and reports Shania, who's 3, Shania, who's 4, and Samaya, who is 2. They all living in this. But I guess what else is bothering me is if something happens to this home where it is in some type of ill repair, they call him. The code, the enforcements, all that goes against him. I'm like, what? We got to do something about this. It ain't just one, y'all. It's the one we just read, but it's not all just one person. I'm talking about there's a group of people that have faulty homes. And they bought these houses. And nobody's helping them. We're not holding the right people accountable. What are we doing? I bet you if they had another skin color, there wouldn't be this problem. And those people attracted more people to return to neighboring blocks, repopulate the Lower Ninth Ward. Then all of a sudden you saw the gentrification coming in. Aren't you tired of becoming the scapegoat or being the test or being the trial and error? to see if we get it right. Oh, we can get it right. So it never ends with, let's go back and refix it or redo it. It's, oh, well, that's who we were talking about. I'm just saying. Queen.
Hey, my love, how's it going?
Good. Where you been?
Working.
Yes, indeed. Join the club.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this Brad Pitt thing, I had to pull over because I just got so fired up about it. I literally just had a Facebook debate off of I think Travis Mackle did a report, and it was on Facebook. And a whole bunch of people, I'm not our pale skin cousins, I'll put it that way, were all commenting and downgrading the people that bought these houses, saying that those people were given houses, and if they can't take care of the houses, it's their fault. And I'm debating back and forth. That kid ain't gave them. I can't say that on the radio, but he ain't gave them not jack poop.
Nope.
These people paid for these houses.
They paid for those houses, and I think a lot of folks got that confused, Queen, when they started talking about those houses. But what was happening is these folks had bought their homes, they were paid for, and they had them appraised, and they sold them to the Brad Pitt Foundation for a certain price. Let's say they sold them for $200,000. Well, Brad Pitt had gone and got all these different stars to raise money and put that money into a kitty. That money was sitting there for them to take the remaining part of that mortgage and pay it out. So if you had money for a $200,000 house and that's what you were going to use, you would use that money to buy a $200,000 house, but your house was actually $400,000. So they would take a remaining pot of that money that was given to them by those superstars, those movie folks, and use it to supplement the remaining balance of your home. I was like, it took me a minute to understand how that happened. But these people now have mortgages.
Yes.
That's the part that makes me go, y'all got to be kidding me. You bought my fine house or my property and sold it to you. You now own it. But yet I have gone in and done work to get the remaining balance of that property because I can't afford a $400,000 mortgage, but I can afford a $200,000. Right. So the remaining balance of that mortgage, you got to pay for.
And when is my question? I don't know if you have the answer, if anybody does. So when, let's say, Grandma Puppy sold his house to the Brad Pitt Foundation for the $200,000, did he actually receive that $200,000 back, or did they put it in quote unquote escrow or hold it until the house went back, until he was purchasing the house back with the supposed funds that they were going to give them, the additional funds?
So that property is theirs. So the value of that property in most cases was $200,000. I'm going to just say that. All right. So the house you're getting ready to buy after the designs are put up and might be valued at $400,000. So that money that he had left, he would put it toward that $400,000 property. And that's how they got to be able to buy that house. I can't afford a $400,000 house. But if I got $200,000 to put with it, I'm back down to a $200,000 house. So now I can afford it.
Well, those wish funds never came through, and all the faultiness of the material and so on.
Yeah.
I just feel so bad for these people. I pray that at some point it is made right for them.
Mm-hmm.
But this This was robbery. This was robbery for these people. For New Orleans people, we've been through so much already. But then for that to happen again, to lose your house again, basically, whether they've lost it or not, if you can't live in it, you've basically lost it again. That's unfair.
Yep.
That's completely unfair.
So now they can't get those houses fixed. And they're going back and saying, hey, wait a minute, my house is crumbling. You all sold me a brand new house, and we finding out that the materials are not materials that are worthy of the environment of a New Orleans, because the materials that you bought were more so for cold weather apparatuses than being down here in the heat.
The heat, the humidity.
Yep.
Rain.
Yep. So they were like, oh, we need to get somebody to fix that. No, you need to get somebody to redo my house. And some of those houses were also demolished. I don't know if you knew that part.
Yes, I drove through a few weeks ago.
Yep, they had to demolish them because they were falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
So we started asking, when y'all gonna fix this for these folks? Because evidently there is a class action lawsuit. So we got the call back from Ron Austin, who is an attorney, and he represents those houses, those landowners and those homeowners. And he said, yeah, there is a class action lawsuit. So Global Green steps up. Global Green is the nonprofit that, supposed to be working with them to put these houses up. They step up and say, well, Brad's not going to do it, but we'll do it. We'll take care of it. So, but guess what? They haven't done it either. So they got lawsuits that include Global Green, Brad Pitt's foundation, the folks that were building, some of the architects, all of that. My question is, it's been 20 years. Where's the lawsuit? What's going on? Pay these people what they need to get their lives straight. These houses are a wreck.
Yes. I saw some.
Yep, they're falling apart. They're falling apart. We were down there this past week, just, with all the stuff with Katrina. We were down there. I was looking at some of those houses. Some of them still nice. But again, I don't know the inner workings of what's going on with them. I don't know how many leaks. I don't know what else is going on. But I do know this. I'd be mad as all hell. I'll be sitting up at the next Brad Pitt function. They'll be
Brad
looking.
Pitt not coming back to New Orleans to see anything.
Nope. So he walked away clean. But he walked away clean.
Mm-hmm. That's sad. That's
Yep.
very sad.
Yep. All right, my honey. I appreciate you too. So, but
Right.
I want to stay on this story because I let it go after we kind of found out everything and put it on the air and started talking about it. We saw some movement, and then we stopped talking about it. Next thing I do, I ride down there and I'm like, well, damn, they didn't fix these houses. They did not fix those houses. So we brought it up again. And my friend, Katie Weiss from CBS National, she got a big old story coming. So I hope those folks from Global Green and the Brad Pitt Foundation are listening. I'm not just trying to talk about this. I need to see some action on their part, and they ain't done nothing.
Well, I hope and pray that they get some justice. I truly hope and pray.
Same here.
All
right, my honey.
All right,
It was good
love.
hearing from
y'all
you.
have a good one.
You too, my baby.
Talk to
Thank
y'all
you.
later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Miss Pam? Miss Pam?
Hello?
Hey.
Hey, Gerard. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. First, I want to give love and condolences to the Seiko family, and we have to keep him in our prayers and everything because he was a very knowledgeable man.
Absolutely.
And we are all going to miss him, and I'll be listening out when services will be, okay, on that. And also, I have two questions.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that Chinese wood or something like that they use? And do the owners have to pay for the demolition?
The city actually had to demo the houses. They already
But are
demoed
they
a
going to
couple
be
of them.
charged? Are they going to
I
recharge?
don't know that part. I'm hearing this as I go. That a couple of those homes had to be demoed. I don't know which other ones will have to be, but I know that if anybody did an inspection right now, they wouldn't pass it.
Right. Right.
And remember,
But
I think they said that the wood it was used was supplemented with glass, some type of glass.
Yeah, but why glass? I mean, I thought I heard something years ago that they were using something like Chinese wood or something from China or Japan or something. Is that true? No.
No.
Well, what kind of wood do we have here that we need glass in?
Well, remember, that's what they were talking about. They were talking about the products that they use were not products that you would see used in a New Orleans environment.
Right. Because when it expands and everything, it's that you might as well have termites. That's crazy. That's crazy, bruh. That's really crazy.
I had never heard of some of the stuff, and then when I saw the architects and the plans for the for the facility itself, it actually made me go, where do we have this type of architecture in New Orleans? It don't look like nothing New Orleans.
Right. Absolutely.
I didn't know if they were trying to put something together that was new for New Orleans, but when I saw some of the homes after they built them, I was like, what in the hell?
Yeah. Some of them look like they were little spaceships or some from outer space.
Yeah.
It just didn't work with us.
They didn't take off,
you know? Yeah, no, not at all. But that was my couple of questions, and I'll be listening to you and listening out for. Man, that hurts. That hurt. We just talked to him a few days back.
Yeah. He had just called.
Yeah.
I think the last couple of times that we talked to Sekou, I could tell that he was weak. In his presentation. But we'd always ask, how you doing? He said, man, I'm getting myself back together. Yeah. But he was always on top of whatever the subject was.
It was, exactly. He didn't miss a beat. Not at all.
Yeah.
All right, sweetheart. I won't hold you up so you can get more calls.
Thank you, Mom.
for taking my call.
I appreciate you, Miss Pam.
All right, baby.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, y'all. We got to take a break. We'll take a break here. We'll come back and get ready to wrap up the show and get you ready for Arnie and Carrie coming up at 6. More next.
AURN News.
House Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is on Capitol Hill today to sell his plan to make America healthy again. But instead of clarity, lawmakers are demanding answers about his sweeping layoffs and budget cuts at federal health agencies, including the firing of CDC Director Susan Monarez as less than a month ago on the job. Meanwhile, in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis and Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo say they want to wipe out all childhood vaccine mandates, the very shots that have kept kids safe from measles, polio, and chickenpox for decades. The World Health Organization says vaccines have saved 154 million lives globally in the past 50 years, most of them children. Yet Florida is moving in the opposite direction, with critics calling it a public health disaster in the making. In response, Democratic governors on the West Coast are forming an alliance to protect immunization standards, accusing the Trump administration of politicizing public health. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
It's off the top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
In his ongoing obvious naked power grab, President Donald Trump signaled that he might deploy National Guard troops to New Orleans. After sending National Guard troops to Los Angeles, then Washington, D.C., the president told reporters during a recent White House news conference that he is now considering sending soldiers to Chicago or maybe New Orleans. To no one's surprise, Trump said Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry would welcome such a move. Of course, the governor is an unapologetic Trump disciple, a miniature authoritarian who no doubt has national political aspirations. Trump, our authoritarian-in-chief, began his controversial move to use the military for domestic purposes when he ordered military units to Los Angeles to put down a small protest about immigration. The governor of California and the mayor of Los Angeles condemned Trump's action as unnecessary, unwanted, and unrequested. Well, Trump poo-pooed the criticism and then doubled down on his apparent intent to militarize cities led by Democrats by deploying National Guard troops to Washington, D.C., citing a fictitious crime wave. But statistics show a major reduction in crime in the nation's capital. Meanwhile, a federal judge in San Francisco ruled that Trump's deployment of the National Guard in Los Angeles violated the law, stating the Guard performed law enforcement duties that are prohibited for the military. And against that backdrop, now comes talk from Trump about sending soldiers to Chicago and New Orleans, where crime is significantly reduced in both municipalities, specifically the Crescent City. It escapes no one that all of these cities have Democratic mayors, and all of them African American, and sans one are run by black women. Coincidence? Hell, I think not. This is Norman Robinson off the top.
Trying to grow your business or increase traffic to your location? We can help. WBOK 1230 AM has a number of solutions that will meet your individual needs. Give one of our consultants a call today at 504-582-9420 or email us at info@wbok1230.com. And remember, an investment with WBOK is an investment in our community. Call today.
Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Every Friday at noon on WBOK.
Fresh produce, local flavor, and a healthy you. New Orleans East Hospital is hosting a farmers market the last Wednesday of every month from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Join us in the parking lot across from the main entrance. Support local farmers and your wellness. We'll see you there.
The Historic New Orleans Collection presents a new exhibition open through June 7th, 2026, The Trail They Blazed. Built collaboratively with people who participated in the local civil rights movement, The Trail They Blazed presents stories of social and racial justice straight from the people who lived them. Listen to leaders tell their stories of resistance and persistence in their own voices, recorded by the Historic New Orleans Collection. Plan your visit to 520 Royal Street in the French Quarter and reserve your free tickets at hnoc.org today.
I live in New Orleans, and I work for Entergy. Hundreds of us make this city our home. That's why we're committed to providing you low-cost, reliable power. We're working on new projects across the city to reduce outages when bad weather strikes.
And we're working hard to keep our rates 20% below the national average. We're making changes and doing more.
Because New Orleans is our home, too.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Talk That. NOLA Education is all about awareness. Join me, Dr. Jaquil Ross from New Schools from New Orleans, as I chat with Holly Reed and Tawana Pierre Floyd about academic data for New Orleans public schools over the past 20 years. Tune in for Talk That this Monday at 12:30 p.m. on 12:30 a.m.
Uptown, downtown, wherever you are, keep it locked in to WBOK.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Mr. Harrow. Mr. Harrow?
Yes.
What you say?
Oh, there's so much to talk about. And the first thing I want to do is give Sekou's family my condolences.
Mm-hmm.
We were just driving, and I heard that he passed.
Mm-hmm.
So, what can I say? What can I say? On the New Orleans situation as far as building is concerned, I've told you I'm a third generation remodeling contractor, and we did upgrades. And one of our clients that you might know was Frank Sinatra at his Beverly Hills house. Now, what I wanted to say is that the lady that called a few minutes ago, she was asking her, it was the drywall from China that she was speaking about. I was in New Orleans, 2007. I talked to what's his name, the movie star?
Brad Pitt.
And Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt. And he has a new movie out now.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, all the, one day I'll tell you who runs Louisiana, New Orleans, and who got your money. I'll tell you where it went to. But anyway, I talked to Brad, 2007, I was there, and I talked to Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
And he had 13 architects. And I can't figure out, as smart as I think I am, what happened and what the situation happened there. This past week, on Thursday, a week ago, I talked to we had a builders and developers conference downtown, and I talked to a fella that lives, I think it's called the Pontchartrain, that lake down there. He lives across the lake, and he told me about developers buying black people's property and promising them and all of that. We had a good conversation.
Mm.
So anyway, I just want to say that I'm listening, and I'm sorry, and I will miss Sekou, and life is good for me, if I'm allowed to say that. And I appreciate you much and your callers. Have a good evening.
Well, we appreciate you too, sir.
Okay. All right.
Y'all good out there with all them fires?
Well, the fires happen in the hills.
Mm-hmm.
And people, you were talking about the utilities and all of that, but they caught a fireman setting a fire. So a lot of in the flat. You've been here in the flat part of Los Angeles. You really don't have that that much. And then let me skip and say, you were talking about the military that fool sent out here. It's just, if you send military to a neighborhood, it's not going to cut crime. It's not going to do anything. Now, I wanted to see them, but I never have. Los Angeles is so large. I never have been able to see any of them. But I did talk to the mayor, Mayor Bass, a few nights ago, and I thanked her for putting up with the racism that she has to deal with. And she said, I thank you so much for what you're saying to me. But anyway, what you got to do, and I suggested it before, every black child should get 1 hour in school on racism and economics. If they understand those two things, life will be good for them. It's been good for me, and it's still good.
All right.
So, and you're talking about that school down there that the fools spent $30-some million on, and it's not open.
Nope.
No. So anyway, I don't know what to say. Really, I don't.
Yeah, I got
you just got to get the kids educated.
Mm-hmm.
We celebrate the past, and we get the ones that are coming after us. We get them ready.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care, Ms. Harold. All right, y'all. We got to get out. Coming up, RNA Carriers next. We will see you on the other side. I'm headed to go to the debate tonight. I got to go see the forum. Y'all watch it at 7 o'clock, and also tune in to see the football game tonight and hear it on us at 7:20. Y'all take care. We'll see you tomorrow.